Python syntax. For you to be able to write a proper Python code, you have to understand the syntax of the Python programming language. And the very first important thing, or the most important thing you need to note, is what we call the Python indentation. Indentation refers to the spaces at the beginning of a code line, where in other programming languages, the indentation in code is for readability only. In Python, the indentation is very important. Python uses indentation to indicate a block of code, and also you have to note that you have to use the same numbers of spaces in the same block of code, otherwise Python will give you an error. So let's see this. Let's write our first Python code. So I'm going to do a simple if statement so that we can practice with the indentation. So if I say if 5 greater than 2, take note, to end a line of code, you use the colon, okay? Not really a line of code, but it's just a statement. Then I use enter. So you can see what my editor has done here. This can be done or achieved using a tab. So in case your editor does not do this and your new line starts here, you can use your keyboard using space 1, 2, 3, 4. So decide on how many you want to use, 4 or you want to use 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. So for me, I've set my keyboard to use tab, that is 8 spaces. So now I can print out something and say, let's print out hello world. If 5 is greater than 2, then you save. You don't need to use a semicolon to end your sentence. Now if I run this code, you can see it works properly. Hello world has been displayed on my output terminal. Now what if I take out all the space? I drop it down here. If I save, it's still, you can see now that there is an error. It says on line 2, you know, I'm starting exactly at the same place where I started the if statement, which is wrong because this is a block of code. So it doesn't matter how many space you use. You can use one space. It's still going to work. If I run this, so you see the error we had then was indentation error, expected an indented block after if. Okay, so it's running now even if I use one space, but it is better for you to decide on what to use. Are you going to use 4 spaces or 8 spaces or 2 spaces or 1 spaces? For me, going forward, I'll be using 8 spaces, or I could edit this to use 4. So I can change it. I will prefer to use 4 spaces. So I will advise that you always use 4 spaces too, so that when you have another line of code, let's say that I have another line of code here, 1, 2, 3, 4, you can see now that I can always indent everything. So if I put my name down here, I save that and I clear this, so even though this is not a good practice, okay, it's just for you to understand that each line of code should be indented in Python. So take note of your indentation. The 2 code runs, hello world, precious Ireho. Take note of your indentation, your colon, and you don't need to end any sentence with a semicolon. So guys, this is it on Python syntax. I'll see you in the next one.